Hi, hello everyone. My name is Joe. Hope you all are doing well. This is a series of videos where we'll discuss questions very similar to Azure AI-102 certification exam questions. We'll go through these questions, discuss in detail each and every option, and figure out the correct one. So if you're preparing for AI-102 certification, feel free to join me in this series of videos. A basic knowledge of Azure AI services will be helpful for you to better understand these questions. To prepare for the certification, I watched one training and it was extremely helpful. Although you can watch any trainings, I would highly recommend this one. I'll provide the link of this training in the description box below. To the format of the question, we have to select the correct option based on the various requirements stated in the question. The question is, you are developing an application that needs to automatically route incoming customer email to either English or Spanish support teams based on the language of the message. Which Azure Cognitive Services API should you use? To answer, select two appropriate options, and the options are provided. Now let us break down the question. What are the keywords present in the question? So the question is regarding Azure Cognitive Services API. So what is Azure Cognitive Service? So it is a suite of AI service and APIs provided by Azure. So what does that mean? So we have seen there are a lot of AI services provided by Azure, including computer vision, content moderator, language service. Then there is Azure AI search, content moderator. All those are the services provided by Azure. So instead of creating a resource for each and every one of this, we can create a single Azure Cognitive Services resource. It will host all the other AI services provided by Azure. So to make it more clear, if you're creating an Azure Cognitive Service, you will get an endpoint, and using that endpoint, you can access all the AI services present in Azure. Like you can access computer vision, you can access language service. All these services are residing within the same endpoint. You need only a single endpoint to access all these AI services offered by Azure. You don't need to create resource for each and every services. That is what is Azure Cognitive Services API is for. And currently it is known as Azure AI Services. So there is a slight change in the name, Azure AI Services. So if you see Azure Cognitive Services and Azure AI Services, both are same. So it is a wide umbrella that hosts all of the Azure AI services. A single endpoint to access all the AI services of Azure. I hope that is clear to you. Now next is, what is the requirement? So we have to automatically route incoming customer email to either the English or Spanish support team based on the language of the message. So we have to route the email to different support teams based on the language of the message. So we have to detect the language of the email. That is the requirement. So which API endpoint should we use to fulfill the requirement? So the very first option is centralus.api.cognitive.microsoft.com. Next is eu.api.cognitive.microsofttranslator.com. So do we need a translator service? No, we don't need a translator service because our need is to just to detect the language of the message. We don't need to translate it to other language. And the question also states that we have an Azure Cognitive Service API. We are not having a translator API. We are having a Cognitive Service API. Now the third option is portal.azure.com. Do we need to access the Azure portal? No, we don't need to access the Azure portal. So the correct answer is this one, which is the base endpoint for Azure Cognitive Service. Now next option is regarding which service within the Cognitive API should we choose. So we have chosen the base endpoint as this. Now which service should we choose? Do we need to choose the translate service or the text analytic service of language? So we don't need to translate the email. We just need to route the email to different support teams based on the language of the email. So what we need is just to detect the language. So we don't need the translator API, or we don't need the translator service of Azure. We need the text analytics service of language. So we have to use this URL to detect the language of the incoming email. The correct answer is text/analytics/v3.1/languages. Here the version is 3.1, but at the time of recording there are newer versions available for text analytics. So those are the correct options. Now, what did we learn from this video? We learned language detection is one of the features offered by Azure AI language, and language detection is able to detect more than 100 languages. And also we saw about Azure Cognitive Services or Azure AI Services. Now to the next question. So the format is, we have to choose the correct option based on the requirement given in the question. You have an Azure subscription that contains an Azure language resource. You need to identify the URL of the REST interface for the language service. Which blade should you use in the Azure portal? Identity, keys and endpoint, networking, properties. Now let us break down the question. So the question is regarding Azure language resource, and we have to identify the URL of the REST interface of this resource. So go in the Azure portal, you will get that information. That is the question. So identity, as the name suggests, is for managed identities. So it is not for getting the URL of the REST interface. Next is keys and endpoint. So what does keys and endpoint provide? It will provide the authentication keys and endpoint of our resource. That is exactly what we need. We need the URL of the REST interface of our service. So we can get that information from the endpoint. Keys and endpoint of the Azure portal. Next is networking. It is regarding the networking details of our resource. Then properties, it will provide the resource ID, location, etc. regarding our resource. So the correct answer is keys and endpoint. So the keys and endpoint of our Azure portal will provide the URL of the REST interface for the language service. Now what did we learn from this video? We learned that we should navigate to the keys and endpoint blade in the Azure portal to get the endpoint URL and the keys. If you find this video informative, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.